Today we're working through the Unit 8 study guide. Most of this is SOHCAHTOA, which includes all of the stuff on angles of elevation and vectors, which was right triangles, and then we also had law of sine and law of cosine. Starting with question 1, they want us to find the value of x. Notice we have a right triangle, so that means we can use SOHCAHTOA. We have opposite over adjacent, so that would be TOA, which is tangent. Tangent of 40 degrees equals x over 11. We're going to cross multiply. You get x equals 11 tangent of 40 degrees. Plugging that into our calculator, and we end up with 9.2. Number 2, they want us to find the ratios, and remember ratio is just a fancy word for fraction, so we're looking for angle z. They want the sign, that would be opposite over hypotenuse, so we have 4 radical 3 over 8. Notice the 4 eighths can reduce, and we're left with radical 3 over 2. We're looking for the cosine of angle z, so that's adjacent over hypotenuse. Make sure we go ahead and reduce it. And finally, tangent of angle z. That would be 4 radical 3 over 4. However, I'm going to change it because I know we need some practice with radicals. So let's change this to tangent of y. That would be 4 over 4 radical 3. Your 4's cancel out. We're left with 1 radical 3, and in this case we have to rationalize that denominator. So we're multiplying by radical 3 over radical 3. Notice when we multiply here we get radical 9, and eventually that reduces to 3. So mission accomplished, we've eliminated the radical in the denominator. Question 3, it says we have lengths 11, 25, and 32. We have to find the angle opposite the shortest side. So first of all, notice we don't have a right triangle. So we have 11, 25, and 32. We want to find the angle opposite the shortest side, which would be this angle right here. This is the case where we have 3 sides, so we're going to use the law of cosines. And if you need that formula written out in front of you, so in this case, we're looking for angle x, so the side across from it is the one that's going to be substituted out in front. So we have 11 squared, and we're just going to plug in everything else. And we're looking for the cosine of x. So we've got a lot of calculator work. First thing I'm going to do in my calculator is 11 squared minus 25 squared minus 32 squared. I'm going to plug that in, and then I'm going to multiply the rest of the information on the right side. We get negative 536. And the other side, negative 1,600. So we're going to divide by the negative 1,600. And remember, anytime we're looking for the angle is when we're going to use inverse cosine. So we're doing inverse cosine. We can use that answer button, or this is a small decimal that I can type in on my own. We end up with, to the nearest degree, we end up with 70 degrees. Moving on to question number 4, notice we do have a right angle. That means we can go back and use SOHCAHTOA. We have opposite over hypotenuse, so that's going to be sine. So we have sine of x equals 3 over 7.6. Again, this is that case where we're looking for an angle. So that means x is equal to the inverse sine of 3 divided by 7.6. Inverse sine of 3 divided by 7.6. And it says to the nearest degree again, so we end up with 23 degrees. Moving on to question number 5. It says we're looking for the height of a pole. So let's go ahead and draw that pole. If we're looking for that height, that's going to be x. The surveyor moves 140 feet back. He measures an angle of elevation to the top to be 44 degrees. And the only other thing you want to notice in here is we have his instrument is 4 feet tall. So that's going to come into play at the very end. We have opposite over adjacent. That's going to be tangent. We're going to cross multiply. X equals 40, tangent of 44. And you know what? I dropped a 1 in there, so 140, tangent of 44. We end up with 135, again to the nearest foot. Here's the last thing. This length is 135, but remember, this distance of his instrument is 4 feet off the ground. So we need to go ahead and add in the 4. Okay, moving on to question number 6. So I kind of skimmed through the question. It says angle of depression. So that means I'm looking out and I'm looking down. So here is the lighthouse and here is the boat. They tell me it's a 10-degree angle of depression. They tell me the lighthouse is 200 feet tall. Well, in that triangle, that means this length would be 200. Find the length of the sight line from the person to the boat. So we're looking for this length right here. Again, we have a right triangle. Opposite over adjacent, that's going to be sine. Now make sure you pay attention here because notice when we cross multiply, we don't have x by itself. In order to get x by itself, we have to divide by the sine of 10. And we end up with 1,151.8. Okay, moving on to question number 7. Again, we're not told it's a right triangle, so we're just going to draw any old triangle. We have H, K, and L, 63 degrees. This is 51, 22 degrees, and we're looking for K. So if we're looking for K somehow, some way, we can go and find the angle across from it. I'm going to take 180 minus 63 minus 22. In this case, we're going to use the law of sine. So we have sine of 95 over its opposite side, which is k, sine of 63 divided by its opposite side, which is 51. We're going to cross multiply. And finally, to get k by itself, we are dividing by the sine of 63. Plug all of that into our calculator. And eventually, to the nearest tenth, we end up with 57.0. Okay, moving on to question number 8, we have to find the length. Find the value of w, then x. So I'm going to focus on this smaller triangle right here. I have opposite over adjacent, so that's tangent. Tangent of 42 is 12 over w. Notice again, this is the case when I cross multiply, I don't have x by itself. So this is when I have to go and divide by the tangent of 42. Now we have to go and find x. I think the easiest way to find x is let's actually go and find this whole length, and then I can subtract the 13.3 to give me that leftover. So I have the same setup. tangent of 27 equals 12 over, I'm just going to label it z. Again, when we cross multiply, we don't have z by itself, so we're going to have to divide. I get 23.6 for the whole length. This is 13.3, so finally we're going to subtract, and we get 13.3. Okay, moving on to number 9, it talks about an angle of descent. So right away again, I'm going to draw that angle. I'm looking out and I'm looking down, and they tell me it's a 9-degree angle. It's at a height of 1,125 feet, which would be here, which in my triangle is also over here. How many miles from the runway is the airplane at the start of this approach? So I'm looking for the distance from the plane to that runway. Opposite over hypotenuse, I'm going to use sine. Notice again, I don't have x by itself, so this is that case when we're going to have to divide. The other thing is this is in feet and they want to know miles, and they tell us there's 5,280 feet in a mile, so I'm going to take my answer and divide by that 5,280 feet, and I end up with 1.4 miles. Okay, moving on to question number 10. We're back to a right triangle, so that's good. We can use SOHCAHTOA. Adjacent over hypotenuse means I'm going to use cosine. Again, notice when you cross multiply, you don't have x by itself. So this is the case when we're going to divide. And we end up with 12.5. Number 11, again, is right triangle, so I get to use SOHCAHTOA. Opposite over adjacent is tangent. Now, if you notice in this case, when I cross multiply, I do have b by itself. So this is that case where I get to multiply 9 times the tangent of 40, and we get b is equal to 7.6. Okay, number 12, it says a slide makes an angle of 35 degrees with the ground. So we have 35 degrees, my slide is 4.1 meters, and they want to know how high is the top of the slide. Again, we have a right triangle, we can use SOHCAHTOA. Opposite over hypotenuse is sine. And when we cross multiply, we get x equals 4.1 times the sine of 35 degrees. And we get 2.4. Okay, let's go take a look at 13. It says we have a pole and it casts a shadow. So again, here's our pole, our shadow's on the ground. The pole is 100 feet. The shadow is 249, and we're looking for that angle of elevation. So we have opposite over adjacent, that's going to be tangent. This is the case where we